I'm really happy because I think you did my various late night shows. You were on like 11 or 12 times,
Yeah.
and always a reliably great guest. And I thought, in that format, I couldn't really get to know you because it's a very different situation. There's a band, and you got 7 minutes with Zach, and then we move on. We go. And I thought I'd really like to get to know this guy, and I started to do. Looking into your past, and I was really surprised by a couple of things, which is I didn't realize you grew up in this, it's sort of a religiously schizophrenic situation where your dad is Jewish and your mom is Protestant?
No, she converted before they got married because he was super into Judaism at the time,
Right.
and he wasn't going to marry a non-Jewish woman, so she converted.
She was Protestant when she met him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he said, I love you, but you would definitely need to convert for this to go further. And she didn't really have much connection to her religion, and she was interested, and she was very in love. And she said, okay, I'll do it. I love you, and I'm not really connected to my own religion, so I'll do it. And then she, as what happens with some people, she got super into it and like made my dad more religious. Like she made the family kosher. And
this is not uncommon. This is quite. I mean, I've heard of this, and I've known people that have gone through this, where someone converts, and then almost because it's new to them, they go farther.
Yeah, because also I think some of those people are looking for a thing, looking for a passionate group or religion, and then when someone provides it with them in a really educated way, they go all in. They're like, "This is amazing. I haven't had this." So it was kind of funny that then we were like really religious and kosher. Well, sorry, I wasn't born yet, but by the time I was around, we were kosher and as far even as extreme as like doing separate dishes for meat and dairy and like for real kosher. And
it surprises me as someone who was raised Catholic when I've had, years ago I remember talking to a friend who's another comedy writer who was very Orthodox, and he had just moved into a new apartment, and there were things that took me by surprise. I remember talking to this friend of mine once, and he said, "Yeah, I can't talk right now. There's a rabbi here with a blowtorch."
What?
And I said, "What?" And he said, "Well, he's in the kitchen. And there's a special rabbi that comes who uses a blowtorch to burn out any trace of, I'm guessing, pork or shellfish or anything that could possibly..."
They call it treif, which is, I don't know if it's Yiddish or Hebrew for things that are not kosher. I was told, and we never did this, but that if we messed up, the plate would have to be buried in the backyard. Like if you put meat and cheese on that plate, it was done. So that way we're gonna have to. No one's ever followed through on this, and I don't know if I'm naive if to know if people who are super religious Orthodox really do that.
Right.
But that was sort of in the back of my childhood brain, was like, don't mess up or this poor plate's going to get buried.
They should use them. You know, it'd be great if they use them for skeet shooting instead. If like, oh, wait, a little bit of cheese got on that plate, and then suddenly it gets fired in the air, and a bunch of rabbis with shotguns shoot it to pieces.
Rabbis with shotguns doing
I just love that.
shooting.
They were just like, and they were specialized. That's what they did. They had guns, they were ready to go, and they would shoot these treif I love treif.
Treif.
I've heard that before.
I've never heard that one.
I wish that was my rap name.
Oh.
Do you need a rap name? Are you rapping?
I am rapping, and I'm
so you do
DJ
need a
Treif.
name.
I don't know if you. I think I'm more likely go to an Israeli rapper than you.
I rap about all the things that are treif and that we can't eat.
What was funny is that
cool.
so my mom they got divorced when I was around 8.
Uh-huh.
And my new stepfather was not into this at all. So, and then my mom, again, being in love and accepting a new life, was like, yeah, forget about all that.
What?
Well, no,
what a whiplash for you.
Exactly. Because,
You're going, that's
because
crazy.
I was in joint custody. So we would go, my sister and I have 2 older brothers who opted out, but my sister and I would go a week with one and then a week with the other. And we were with my mom. We were not kosher and not religious. And we were with my dad. He was strict kosher and religious. It was a trip.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
And so,
and then when I turned 13, I had a bar mitzvah, and I did this sort of jujitsu move on him because he was all about how now you are a man. And I said, well, if I'm a man now, I would like to eat a cheeseburger.
Wow. How'd that go over?
He to his credit, he knew he's. By the way, I don't mean to say that he wasn't an incredibly loving man. He was just a religious man. So he got it. I mean, he smiled at the jujitsu move.
Right.
But then he knew I was battling this thing of like mom's house one week, his house, and so it became like when you're in my home, I ask that you respect being kosher, but out in the world and whatever, you are a young man now and you can do whatever you want.
It's so interesting because I would so many people that if your name comes up, I think the first thing they would think is because they know you as primarily as this performer on screen, and you're very likable and chipper seeming, and I happen to know that a lot of anxiety when you were young.
Yeah.
Do you think was that stem from the divorce, or do you think that was just a natural condition?
I think I definitely was a very anxious child. I got diagnosed with OCD as a very young.
Oh.
I was doing a lot of the tapping stuff that people suffer from.
Yeah.
And it would manifest in a weird way. Like the example I give to people who have never had experienced any of this at all is you're a child and you say, if you don't kiss that teddy bear 6 times before you leave the room, something bad could happen to the family. And then even as in your young brain, you go, I know that's not real, probably, but just to be safe, let me do it.
Exactly. Do I want to risk it?
Why risk it?
Right.
It's like superstitions for regular people. Like you don't walk under a ladder, you don't do this, you don't do that. But it's in a child's brain, it's like, why would I possibly risk it? But then the kisses of the teddy bear, you didn't quite get right. It felt like did I do 6 total? I think I miscounted.
The bear doesn't look satisfied.
The bear is seeing someone else.
The bear
The love has gone out of this. Once the sex goes, it's over, says the bear.
That's hilarious. I never thought of it like that. Like the bear was like, give me more.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there was a lot of that tapping stuff, and yeah, I think of course the divorce was stressful, and joint custody is stressful, and you would get settled in one home, and then Sunday you'd have to switch to a completely different environment.
Right.
And my sister and I would be quite upset because both environments were so different, and then it would take till like Wednesday to kind of get acclimated.
Right.
And then you moved Sunday, so there was a lot of stress. I don't mean to blame that on my parents entirely. I think some of it is genetic, and I was an anxious boy.
Yeah, I relate to that just because I think I had, and my parents stayed together. I tried to get them to separate. I'm still working on it. My dad just turned 94. My mom's 91. And I think it's time now that I said, look, just try living separately for a while. I think they should see other people.
Are they close? Are you close?
What's that?
Are you close to getting them to do it?
I think I'm pretty close.
Okay.
Several times I've driven my father to a motel. But he won't get out of the car. But
you drove me.
Well, I'd say, look, it's nice. That's a comfort hotel.
Newly single at 94 sounds pretty bad.
Yeah.
Any hotel that still says free HBO on the sign, They haven't changed that sign since 1983.